Mr. Gold, could you lead us in the pledge, sir?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a moment of silence for the men and women in the armed forces. Thank you. And Walter, before we do the public participation, we're going to recognize our 16U Anglers Championship baseball team. Team here, and first I want to congratulate you. Outstanding job. Champions. Excellent. What I'd like to do is call your name. The first one would be Mr. Kyle Beebe. And what I'll do is read the full proclamation and then the names. So instead of doing each one, everybody knows the proclamation. So Mr. Beebe, can you come forward, please? So congratulations to Kyle Beebe and the Milford Anglers 16 and under Babe Ruth baseball team on your first place finish at the 2019 Connecticut Babe Ruth Baseball 18U State Tournament. Competing as 16-year-olds against some players currently playing in college, your fourth place finish at the New England Babe Ruth Baseball 16 and 18U Regional Tournament in New Hampshire was very respectable as well, especially since you were the only town team in the tournament. Finally, you finish your season by knocking off the #1 seed, Patterson Pirates, to win the Greater Hudson Valley League Summer Championship. The town is very proud of each and every one of you by the way you helped one another and stuck together as a team. Your team represented the town with honor and pride. We're proud of you. Keep up the great work in the future. Hear, hear. There you go. Jack Figarelli. Matt. Do you have any other, let's see, we'll keep naming names here. Jack Hayes. Jackson. Nothing here? Okay. Did I miss anybody so far? Besides coaches? Okay. Coach Justin Snowden. All right. Okay, JT's not here. Coach Derek Croft. Coach Carl Croft. Guys, town's proud of you. Thank you. New Milford Pride, outstanding. Good luck in your future seasons and endeavors, both on the field and off the field. bless.
Here.
Great job, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sometimes,
These older kids aren't as scared as the older kids are when they come here.
Right.
The little kids are like, thanks.
Yeah.
The older guys are always.
Mr. Mayor, yes.
Yes, sir.
Very come on down, please. Thank you.
Hello, I am here tonight as a member of the Bike and Trail Committee too.
Can I just get your name, please? Sorry.
Gary Hita, 11 Buckford Lane. I'm here as a member of the Bike and Trail Committee too, which was appointed by you on September 10th, 2018. The committee did not summarize the work that has been done, but I wanted to personally bring back to you a summary of the committee's efforts. The committee was formed by you to assist and advise the town on the following, and this is from your meeting minutes: the needs and desires of the community regarding recreational trails, the plans for maintenance of existing trails and bicycle-safe roadways, the design, development, and maintenance of a greenway through New Milford. The committee accomplished the following tasks. Meetings were held the last 12 months to execute this charter, particularly as it relates to the multi-use river trail conceived. The preliminary engineering report was discussed, and committee members visited trail locations to understand the design and considerations made. Outreach was made to other regional groups, including the Brookfield Still River Greenway, Norwalk River Valley Trail, and Westcott. Many of the nearby successful regional trails were discussed, including Harlem Valley Rail Trail, Putnam Trailway, Farmington River Trail, plus the East Coast Greenway's 200-mile route through Connecticut, which uses local and regional trails, such as that envisioned for New Milford. A press release was generated to further people's knowledge and understanding of the trail and the committee, but this did not make it to press as far as the committee is aware. The goals and benefits of holding public information sessions were discussed, and 3 sessions were held with over 50 attendees. The public sessions gave the committee much input on people's opinions on having such a trail, its surface selection, and the trail routing. The committee gave some input on the Pickett District repaving project, but was too late to get good consideration for how the trail design fits into this project. Finally, the committee created a survey to solicit input on the trail concept and design and received over 300 responses. The key takeaways from the public information sessions were: the public attending were mostly in favor of having a multi-use river trail. The cost and how this would be funded was a major concern. Pavement does not seem to be an absolute requirement. Pavement would be appreciated for some users and some sections, while other potential users preferred unpaved. People asked about some routing alternatives to save money. The alternatives have property easement issues and do not always simplify the construction. These should get further consideration before detailed design for any segment is started. Town repaving projects should take non-automobile traffic into consideration when the projects are conceived. Then, on the over 300 responses to our survey, we took the following key points of information. 65% of respondents currently use such a trail at least once a month. Multiple uses are envisioned for such a trail: walking with pet, running, bicycling being the top ones. More than 50% of the respondents use a trail for a distance of 1 to 3 miles typically. 30% of respondents did not live in New Milford and would consider traveling here to use such a trail. 50% of respondents spend some money whenever they visit a trail. Crushed stone was the most highly favored surface after paved. The most preferred section to complete first is the northern section from Young's Field to Siga Meadows. 59% of people would support a small tax impact for such a trail. Here are some recommendations that follow this effort. Continue and expand efforts to improve the walk-bike friendliness of New Milford. This means we need to go beyond just installing sidewalks, but have better signs and marking. Push to get a segment of the trail implemented at least 1 to 2 miles in length. This will be long enough for most users and serve as a launching pad. Continue to monitor and be connected to the other trail projects going on in our region. Leverage existing information as you consider moving into detailed design. The Greenway Criteria and Design Guide from the East Coast Greenway Alliance is an excellent document showing how to set your design basis. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Jerry, can I have that?
I clean it up.
There's swears on it.
He said no, Stephanie.
No, we didn't.
Adrian.
Good evening, Adrian Riccio, 72 Chernisky Road. I'm sure you've all seen it. This is very disturbing. Waterbury Republican American today, Mayor Bass. I'll summarize it if some of you haven't read it, but it reads like something out of NCIS New Milford, seriously. The state police report determined that Lieutenant Larry Ash violated 3 town policies: employee conduct, accepting gifts, and ethics. But yet, Mayor Bass in your Facebook post said that Ash had been exonerated and the case had been cleared. That's disturbing. He wasn't exonerated, according to the state police. The other thing that's really disturbing is that he apparently, according to the state police, he tipped off individuals in a federal drug case that warrants might be coming. We have a drug problem in this town, in case you haven't noticed. A serious drug problem. So if he was tipping off people, that's really not okay. And the state police, I hope they're still investigating, because this is really, really disturbing. And I hope you, Mayor Bass, will rescind your Facebook post exonerating Lieutenant Ash, because he obviously was not exonerated by the state police. And I hope that the Attorney General is looking into this. It's really outrageous. I mean, I think people should be alarmed. The other thing is that on the bottom of this same page, look at what's on there. Data on state trails. What is the holdup in this town? They bring money into town. Thank you.
Thank you, Adrian. Mary Jane Lundgren, please.
Mary Jane Lundgren, 89 Chernisky Road, New Milford. As Adrian just, put this article before, I don't know if the public has all seen it yet, but I'm sure they're going to be seeing it. I have to say, when I read it this morning, I was totally appalled and disappointed. I can't even begin to put it into words, my feelings about this whole thing. New Milford residents deserve open, ethical, and transparent local government, and this does not seem to meet that criteria. I expect a full, honest, and in-depth investigation to go forward after this. It should not be done by Chief Cerruto. It needs to be done by an independent, either the state's attorney's office or another agency, because I feel like he's too involved in this process, and he cannot do this. This potentially appears to possibly be cronyism. Everybody knows, Mr. Bass, that Mr. Ash is a good friend of yours, and I think we have to be very careful what goes on in this town, and I think this is a huge disappointment to everybody, every resident in this town. So I hope you've got a good explanation, and I hope, maybe you can't say anything because maybe it's still being investigated, but the truth needs to come out, and the residents of this town need the truth and nothing but the truth. And the other thing I wanted to ask was about the Rose Report. The Rose Report has been totally buried. It was FOI'd and it was squashed, and I want to know why. This is a report that deserves to be out to the public. This investigation was started by Mayor Grombach during his administration, and it has to deal, for people that don't know about it, has to deal with Paul Szymanski and his dealings with the Zoning Commission. And the report has just disappeared. I think the public deserves the full report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Jane. 11 Buckboard. I can't read.
Oh, that's me. Lisa, yeah. 11 Buckboard, I know, I can write
That's Lisa.
Yeah, thanks, Walter.
Huh.
Good evening. I come here not as a town council member tonight, as a taxpayer. We got a little dueling heaters going on here. And I would like to talk about the supposed state trails holdup. Here's my question as a taxpayer. Where's the leader of this committee, Tom O'Brien? He is the Democratic mayoral candidate. He did not ask to be put on the agenda at the expiration of his committee. He did not come with a report out of their accomplishments, nor did the vice chair. My husband took it upon himself to make sure that we were informed. He actually kind of surprised me to make sure that we were informed of the important work that they did. They did good work. So I have a hard time with fabricated outrage. And let's not do it this election. Let's have some smart, good conversations about what needs to be done and how we can get those things done together. I think the rails and the bike path is very important, but we need leadership. And I, as a Democrat, don't appreciate somebody who is running for a leadership position is not going to stand up and champion their pet project, their passion, and then criticize that we're not moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Jeff Winter, please.
Good evening, Jeff Winter, 22 Morey Road. The Waterbury Republican today had some very interesting articles, and of course the second headline talked about how state trails are very popular, how they're important, and how they are an economic driver. And they should not be ignored, and I appreciate Mr. Heda coming here and talking about that tonight. But what I just heard is nonsense. Mr. O'Brien just held a public hearing for the Bike and Trail Committee last week. So do you expect a report now? Did we ever get one from the Horse and Equine Committee? Just because he had time to do it, Mr. O'Brien held that hearing last week. So let's, if we're going to be serious, that just happened last week, so clearly the committee's work is not finished. I'd also like to talk about the grants that you're going to be hearing about tonight. There are a number of grants that, frankly, appear on tonight's agenda to have been written since the last report, but they're dated prior to the last time that it was reported. And I think there's a reason for that. It's probably because someone else wrote the grants, and now we're giving the grant writer credit for them. Not the least of which is the $2.6 million from the state of Connecticut FLB program. Mayor Bass, you signed that on March 1st. It was applied for, and it was virtually immediately approved by the state. And it really is a no-brainer for them. And why is that? Because they've been talking for months to Dan Stanton, who we don't know why he's still not with the town, but also with Mike Zarba. That goes back to December, if not earlier. So this non-competitive grant that any one of us could have filled out, which was likely filled out by DPW, because clearly, if someone had applied for a $2.6 million grant, that would have been on the list. It'd be very interesting to see the actual original documentation as to who actually filled that out. So let's not give credit where credit is not due. And lastly, as I talked about a couple of months ago, maybe there just aren't enough grants out there for someone who's literally filling out a piece of paper. Because if you just want to look at the total number of grants written since the last time the grant writer presented to the town council, it's hard to tell because it's such poor print that came off. But essentially, I think there were probably 2 that were done in April since the last presentation, 2 that apparently were filled out at the end of May, none in June, 1 in July, and 2 in August. Gee, I could do that. I wouldn't need to be paid X number of dollars a month. What's with this? What's going on? What kind of management is this? I mean, this is ridiculous. And we allow this to happen. We allow it to happen. And lastly, this thing about, it's not about Lieutenant Ash. It's about you, Mr. Mayor. You've spoken about transparency and honesty. You misled the entire town. And your quote, both on the recording and in the minutes, was very clear that the charges were unfounded. And clearly they were not unfounded, and they remain not unfounded. There was no exoneration or anything else. So how are we supposed to trust anything else that comes from your office? And that's why the Rose report needs to be public. That report must come out. Now, Attorney Rose is working for the town at this point. I'm not sure exactly why he was hired, as opposed to hiring our in-house counsel to handle an employment issue. So we're wasting more taxpayer money because you chose to fire the chief of police over some BS reason that he didn't live in town. And you hired someone who didn't live in town. And we've all read the summary and complaints, but yet we're spending money on an attorney who did an investigation on people in this town, and that it's very important that get out, and that the truth can be gotten out. And it may not even necessarily that we need to know names, but we need to know that this stuff was actually sent to the proper authorities, that it wasn't just quashed. Because no one has heard anything. No one knows anything. And transparency calls for it. And I hope that at a minimum, this town council demands it, and demands it soon, and that it is made public prior to October 15th. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Board no, please.
I'm George Oniel from 108 Ecock Crossbrook Road, and I'm not running for office. So I'm here because I got an email this morning about the article in the Republican. And when I went to the email, it was so watered down. I got, my God, what the heck are they saying? So I decided to go to the paper. And when I saw so much to be questioned, what the heck's going on in this town? I've been here for more than 40 years, and I've never seen such mismanagement of what's going on. And what topped it all, one of my students is mentioned in this article. He's a police officer. I knew when he was a small child. Now he's a grown man. And he's told not to pass on the report because it's been squashed. And, you know, you see honest people, honest policemen doing their job, something's wrong with the city. Something's happening where police officers, not police officers, the chief of police is under investigation, and he's allowed to go on to another Lake Ilanona authority, and according to Will Tanner of the state police said that he cannot be on any other police he cannot be with any other official police business. He has to stay in his job. And but yet, it's just a lot of stuff here that you talked about, investigation of a grill, paying off for somebody or given as a gift from somebody because they were warned of an investigation coming. So between this and this woman who got the fine, or she found out from, she bought something that she was getting a bill from Powerhouse Appliances, and she tries to investigate, and they squashed the whole thing. There's an awful lot of stuff being squashed. I didn't come to New Milford to find this to be washed in D.C., though especially the word exonerated. I've had enough of it. And I'd just like to get to the basics. I mean, it's just like the Catholic Church, excuse me. I'm a Catholic, and they're policing their own force, and it usually doesn't work. When they try to get an outside investigation, the person who asked for it gets told goodbye because he lives in Harrington. We want to get somebody. We'd rather have the old guy back because he lives in New Milford. So it's just like cronyism, whatever it is. It's just didn't expect to see all this in the paper because of what I saw on the internet. It's such a small, you can fit it on 2 pages. And here, I mean, that's quite a bit. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Mr. Mayor, that's the end of the visit.
Thank you, Walter. Next, mayor's comments. First, we're continuing with our road program with our 6 major roads for reconstruction. We've also paved part of Elm Street and part of West Street. We're starting on Cascade. As of today, we started edging the road for a mill and pave. Depending on the weather, the next 2 to 3 weeks, we'll have Cascade completed. As for the pothole machine, as of 9/3, pothole machine's done 9,682 potholes. We're going to continue with our brush pushback and our sightline clearing. So I want to thank our DPW team for all of their efforts and our road team. I'd like to thank and congratulate Chief Cerruto and the New Milford Police Department for their 50th anniversary. During the 50th anniversary, we unveiled our partnership with the Nelson DeConda Foundation, will allow the New Milford Police Department to use a helicopter. This helicopter will be used for search and rescue, water incidents for our lake and rivers, aerial command and control of critical incident management if needed, assisting special teams, community and educational events. Through our partnership with the foundation, there's no operating nor insurance costs borne by the town. This is a true win for New Milford, and more updates will follow. Next, I'd like to talk a little bit about our opioid and our action plan. We had a press conference with the chief, State Representative Buckby, who's here this evening, and myself. We held a press conference concerning the opioid crisis. It's not only affecting New Milford, but our entire community. Joining us also was Vice Chairman of the Council, Katie Francis, and Tracy and Tony Morrissey, who lost their son due to an overdose. According to the Office of the Medical Examiner in 2012, there are 298 opioid-related deaths. So far this year, 511, with a projected end of year, 1,222. This is completely unacceptable. As a town, we can and will address this crisis, but need help, as I talked to State Representative Buckby, from our federal, state, nonprofits, medical fields, all in tandem to combat this vicious addiction that hurts so many. We've come with a multi-pronged approach, and we're continuing to fine-tune it. But for the public, part of our fine-tuning and approach first is enforcement. As the chief stated, we will be proactively going after those that deal drugs to our community. There will be no forgiveness, and we will ask to prosecute to the fullest extent of the law. Second, for those addicted and their families. We know that these drugs are powerful and highly addictive. We want to get you help. We started with the creation, with the help of the Town Council and the Board of Finance, the new position, which is an at-risk navigator with a role in the town. We have hired Justin Colmier, who had that role with New Milford Hospital. Justin will be helping those addicted and their families by providing the link to resources within our community and beyond to get the services needed. As we were formulating our action plan, I've also been meeting with New Milford Hospital, and we will be partnering with them in this fight as well as with our social services, youth agency, NMCAN-B. As I have stated, it also takes state and federal, as well as other institutions to help us. Also, we need help with our nonprofits and substance abuse professionals and volunteers that already are helping and providing assistance in education. Thank you to the CARES group that has been helping New Milford families for the past 5 years. They've helped over 100 local families through their support group. Thank you to the New Milford Coalition of Awareness and New Beginnings, our local Substance Abuse Prevention Council. I have written to our federal lawmakers to help in this battle as well, from providing additional resources and funding changing insurance requirements to allow for longer treatments, and to allow those seeking treatment but may not at the time test positive for drugs the opportunity to seek treatment through insurance. Third, we as a community. As we are all affected by this crisis, we need to be vigilant in seeking the signs that someone we love may be addicted. This starts with education from all levels, all ages. Our youth agency, the Milford Can Be, CARES Group, and many others have the resources to help. In the next few weeks, actually on September 24th, I will be holding a town meeting of stakeholders on this issue to continue refining our program. They include Superintendent Dr. Kerry Parker, Chief Cerruto, Justin Colmier, our youth agency, our senior center, social services, Loaves and Fishes, homeless shelter, and I'll be asking a few more to join. It's very important as a whole community that we tackle this ongoing crisis that hurt so many of our families. Also, this Saturday, we're doing a community chalk walk, Saturday from noon to 3 o'clock. So if you have some artistic young people or yourself as an artist and you'd like to do some drawing on the sidewalk, we'd love to have you there. Face painting, sidewalk sales, and much, much more. Also, some had addressed the current posting that was done by the Waterbury Republican. I'd like the public to be reassured of a few things. First of all, what you read in the paper isn't always true. That's number one. We all know that. Number two, I'd like to read something because we are in pending litigation. I read the article by retired Captain Larry Ash in the Waterbury Republican. I have concerns that should be important to all of us. I am concerned that the state's investigation continued after Captain Ash's retirement. I'm concerned that there appears to be a relationship between our former chief and the state's investigating authority. Finally,
Excuse me.
Finally, I know the people in New Milford.
You'll be removed, miss. One more outburst like that, thank you. I heard what you said, miss. And it's on tape. It's uncalled for. That's
Finally,
uncalled for, sir.
I said. Finally, the people in New Milford understand, the people of New Milford let everything come out and be spoken. And everyone has their right to their opinion and also has the right, when we as a court of law choose between guilty and innocence in a court of law. We don't presume someone guilty just because of a newspaper article. Captain Larry Ash, 32 years of service, commendations for his service. I believe he deserves better, and I believe he deserves an opportunity, as we all do. And as a town, I think we can do that, and I think we have the opportunity to show our true spirit, and we'll let the truth come out as it will. Thank you.
Item 5, consent agenda.
Excuse me.
Okay, item 5 on the is our consent agenda. Move to approve the items 5A to 5G as listed on your agenda.
So moved.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Item
What was the motion, 5A, 5B?
G.
Oh, 5G. Oh,
G
sorry.
like George. Item 6, move to accept the appointments for the Bar Planning Grant Program Steering Committee 2 and the Municipal Building Committee as listed on the agenda.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Item 7, update from Tammy Reardon, grant writer.
Good evening, Town Council. As you have in your packet, I've responded to a request for an update. It's been several months since I've been here, so I'm very pleased to give you the update that I've put together for you. You will note a couple of things on that report.
Over $10.5 million worth of viable potential grant opportunities is the total of what I've combined. Do you need extra copies?
I think one more time.
This is a different one.
Did you guys pass that down?
Yep.
Which one is that? We don't have whatever that is.
It's
Walter?
diesel emissions mitigation.
Oh, yes, we do.
That's
Sorry,
yeah,
Tammy.
that's something
Yes, I
different,
do.
and it's this one.
I got it.
Just the
This one.
grant update.
Got it.
So I summarized for you, over about 18 months, I've identified $10.5 million worth of potential viable grant opportunities for the town of New Milford. There are plenty of grants out there in the world, many of them through foundations, many of them for projects or programs that New Milford is not yet ready for. Those are not included on my list. That is a waste of time. So of those that have been identified, both competitive, non-competitive programs and allocations based on New Milford's eligibility, there's been over $8.5 million worth of that submitted. To date, $4.4 million has come back into the town with the work that I've been doing, both independently as a grant writer, as well as partnering with our departments that need a second set of eyes, need some editorial professional advice, or need some clarification on the requirements of both the program or the application itself. That information is then put together, relayed to the Economic Development Director, who is my boss, and then conveyed to the mayor. So currently there are grants that have been declined. That's just over $2.6 million. That does happen in the grant world. I'd love to say I could get 100% of the money I try to get for you, but that's just not possible. We have some partial awards on there as well. That's most of the front page that you're looking at. What's really important on the rest of that, on the bottom paragraph, is that I'm administering for compliance, monitoring, quarterly reports, annual reports, and reimbursements over $9.4 million. So it's not just grant writing, there's compliance issues. The benefit to the town of New Milford, you'll see, I quoted directly from the Mahoney-Sable audit report for year ending 2018, that there was no indication of material non-compliance of laws or regulations, or no significant deficiencies or material weaknesses over financial reporting. That is something that was very important to the auditors when they audited our fiscal year end 2018. They had one source to go to for information, to answer questions, and to review documents. That in itself assisted the town, I believe, in increasing our bond rating, which has an overall positive effect for taxpayers. On the back of the sheet, as I started looking into 2020, there are some grants that the applications are in process. We haven't heard back yet. One of the big ones is the Small Cities Community Development Block Grant Program. That grant is worth about $500,000. It was submitted to the state in April using the services of Peter Testa, who is a contractor, but I am the local contact for that to make sure that he is understanding our community. That's extremely important when he put that 3-inch binder application together for us. I am also the local contact for our residents who are in need and referred to me either by social services or the senior center looking for emergency home repairs. We have some funds set aside in what we call a program income account. This is program income that has come back from an old housing rehab program that we administered in the mid-90s. That limited amount is available to residents that are identified and in need of major home repairs that keep them safe in their homes, such as roof repairs, heating systems. We've had 3 residents so far reach out and be able to utilize those based on their income eligibility and the repairs that are needed. I am the local contact for them. That's very important to note. I work with WestCog quite a bit, as well as Public Works. So WestCog is our regional council of governments, and they administer the LOTSIP applications. There's 2 LOTSIP applications that have been put into them.
One has already been approved by WestCog, and it's in the process of being refined to go to the Department of Transportation, and that is some modifications to the intersection of Pumpkin Hill and Still River Drive. That's very important to some of the traffic concerns in the southern end of town, particularly since the Still River roundabout has been put into play and traffic patterns have really adjusted to that. Some of our residents in that area have noticed it. The second application will be presented to WestCog later this month. I will be attending a meeting tomorrow for their technical advisor group, and that is the realignment and travel lanes for East and Elm Street intersection up here by the hospital. That is causing a significant delay in the downtown area, reaching back all the way into the intersection of Grove Street and Bridge Street. Hopefully that will be supported by the COG. I believe it will, because I attended a meeting with the Department of Transportation, Mike Zarba, and the mayor last month, and DOT has already verbally given us an approval on that. So, very important. There is a VW diesel mitigation grant. I have some more paperwork. I provided the mayor with a report earlier today. We can talk about that in a moment. I've talked with Chief Ceruto. He started discussions with our new superintendent, Carrie Parker, regarding school security. There was a school security grant that was a viable option for us, something that we need with the multiple campuses and the current program we have in place. And unfortunately, due to a shift in personnel, both on the Board of Education side as well as the town police department, that was not a viable grant opportunity at the time. Chief Ceruto is now in touch with the superintendent, and we are going to be working to put that application together in the spring. I'm very excited about that as he begins to flesh out that program. Continuing to work with the senior center, as always, there's funding out there for seniors in our area. One thing that's notable also, I sat with Elderly Housing Management, who's operating the Butterbrook Senior Housing now. Those are a collective group of our seniors that are residents living over there, and they have some serious needs based on the conditions and the age of the structures that they're living in. Parking is a major concern for them, as the age qualification to live there is so young at this point. Many of their residents are still driving, and they may have multiple vehicles. What happens is those residents are taking up the parking spaces, and then residents that live there who don't have a vehicle and need home care are having a hard time getting the home care because the home care aides can't find anywhere to park. So in talking with them, I'm going to look to see if I can find some money to get some engineering done to see if they can get an expansion of parking services. That's above and beyond what their normal maintenance and funds are put forth. Very excited to talk about the program that we brought into town for the first time through the Northwest Regional Workforce Investment Board. This program was ran very successfully with employment through the Youth Agency and Parks and Recreation for 10 of our eligible youth, ages 14 to 21. We had them work for 6 weeks, 20 hours a week, paid minimum wage, completely paid for by the Department of Labor. The Department of Labor was so delighted to have a single point of contact to operate this program that I expect that they will either invite us to expand the program next summer or potentially expand the program year-round. Now, the eligibility requirements for those families are significant. We think minimum wage these days, everybody talks about it not being too much and it doesn't have an impact. For those families that had young teenagers, being able to make that kind of money, it had a significant impact. Very excited about that. So there are grant programs out there. New Milford isn't always ready for a grant program that I may find, so I tuck it in the back. I don't count it towards what you're seeing me as identified. There are tons of potentials out there, but the source is that the funding is available, and when we have a program that meets that funding, that is not going to waste the funders' time, that we have a program that is not wasting our volunteers' time, and they're ready to put forth an application, that's when I jump on it. That's when I move. The quilt trail, that is something, a request has been put forward to the mayor to expand that. I'm working with that. You're not seeing that on that documentation. The dollars aren't huge, but it's part of the discussions that I work on throughout each day, each week, each month.
We have a new IT director in town. For the first time, the IT director is reaching out to me, looking to support his department in some of those initiatives with some grant funds. That's very critical, especially as towns throughout Connecticut have been hit with major cybersecurity risks. So it's a need that's been identified, and I'm working with our new IT director to help resolve some of those issues and make sure New Milford is protected. The Corporation for Economic Development. They have some ideas to go out and drive some economic development from their standpoint. They've had a few ideas that I've talked with Karen Pollard about, and we haven't come up with a solution for what they're looking to do at this point, but the conversations are ongoing. As are conversations about combining playground needs, Board of Education, as well as Parks and Recreation. We have several great playgrounds here in New Milford, but we have some schools that need some upgrades, particularly playgrounds that are accessible. That's a need that I have been asked to approach and look for. I could go on, but I don't want to bore you. So if you have questions specifically about the report, I'd be glad to answer them.
Okay.
Thank you, Tammy.
Sure.
Very, very thorough. I just have a question, not so much about your grant, but on the Northwest Regional Workforce Grant. So the 10 young people that are chosen to do this, they are taken, their family income or whatever is taken into account when they're chosen. Is that what you were trying to say?
There is an eligibility requirement to it, yes.
Okay, so then who handles that part? We do, or does the NRWIB?
So the applications are taken through my office. They are vetted, and then the Department of Labor gives the final okay on them.
Okay, so you're using some criteria for
I
income.
review the applications and compare them to the Department of Labor criteria that they provide.
Okay.
To make sure that we have complete applications and the income levels or the other needs, because there were also identifying factors, were met before we passed the application.
So when I say we, though, so the town is making that decision and
Yes.
then sending it on to them?
Correct.
Great, thank you.
So, thank you, Tim. So I'm just trying to do the math really quickly, but I know you have it at your fingertips. So if I were to break out the 4,400,000 round numbers between fiscal year 18-19 and fiscal year 19-20 on the current awarded, what's that breakout?
The 4.4.
I'm looking at page 2. I'm looking at the totals at the bottom.
Yes.
4.4 million current awarded.
Yes.
And then look at all your details. But it looks like there's a little bit of fiscal year 18-19 as well as fiscal year 19-20 included in that. Am I correct? It's more than one fiscal year, right?
Correct. That will be more than one fiscal year.
So do you have the breakout between the 2 years by any chance?
That I do not. I could get that for you. I have the breakout by fiscal year of the applications. It's on the far right, but not the awards.
Okay. So on the applications, what's the breakout? Total.
It's that fiscal year 18, 19, and 20, the last, right on the bottom of the
On the right
totals.
side, got it.
Bottom right.
Got it. So
Yep.
those are the application numbers versus the awarded.
Correct.
And of the 4,000,004 current awarded, how many are new? That is, were never included previously in our budget revenue.
That is going to be the table just below that, where it says new
727,000
versus previous. Yes.
Okay. And again, that new number is a mix of the 2 fiscal years, or is that?
That will be the mix of the 2 fiscal years.
Okay.
And something to note, you'll see I have a small note there under previous. So this includes programs. I'm not going to say it's new to the town of New Milford, but I will tell you that it's something that had not been taken advantage of in 4 or 5 years. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Tammy, I want to thank you for this report and the work you're doing. I think a lot of people underestimate what it takes to go through the grant process and do the investigations to find ones that are viable now, as you point out. I'm sure there are giant encyclopedias of lists of grants that people could spend a lot of their time filing for. But I think you're doing a great job of managing this process and doing something that's benefiting the town now and doing the job the way it's supposed to be done. Thank you.
Thank you.
One more. Sorry. And is it fair to say none of these grants are a one-page application? Just for clarity.
98% are not a single-page application.
So on average, how many pages for a grant application? 20, 50? I'm thinking back to my old NIH research days.
It is very hard to average the page count, and it's not all about the page count, it's about the data that they're looking for.
Thank you.
I've had grant applications that are 3 pages, but much more intense than applications that total 20 pages.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Madam Secretary, put in a plug for 9/11.
Oh, yes, I will do that.
All right.
And all of my grant questions have been answered.
Okay.
I think I'm ready.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes, could you tell us about the 9/11
Thank
ceremony?
you.
Great question.
Thank you, Walter. As secretary and member of the 9/11 committee with Walter, we invite you all to the 9/11 ceremony being held at the monument located on Patriots Way, which is overlooking the ball field. That's where that beautiful flag flies. We will be kicking off, we'll start gathering at about 8 o'clock Wednesday morning. Our ceremony kicks off at 8:46. We have the wonderful pleasure, our new ladder truck from Water Witch will be there flying a beautiful flag. The weather looks as if it's going to be a little chilly, but a gorgeous day to take a little bit of time to remember the events and the collective love that was shown after that day and what our country has gone through. We have first responders coming in. We have some short words from our local town leaders, and we'll get you out of there before 9:30 to carry on with your day if you're interested in attending. Good? Thank you all for the
lastly,
reminder.
before Tammy leaves, we sent out a memorandum. This is a memorandum concerning the VW diesel emissions mitigation program. The reason why we brought this before was when they open these things up, sometimes they open them up unexpectedly, and when you have good opportunities, you need to seize on them. So in speaking with Tammy today, we wanted to get this in front of the town council, obviously, per our new grant writing protocol. One of the things that we need to talk about is obviously the grant opportunity, but also the town match, where we would think the matching funds would come from. So Tammy, if you'd like to speak a little bit on the program itself, we applied for it last year, and kind of what we're looking for this year and the opportunity that we have.
Absolutely. So I believe you have my memo to the mayor, so that's going to give you some of the highlights of the grant program on there. It is the Volkswagen Diesel Mitigation Grant Program is something that's being administered by DEP on behalf of them and the state of Connecticut. This is the second round. They are looking for transformative projects that are duplicatable throughout the state of Connecticut. The town applied for the first round, and at that point we applied for the replacement of 18 of our qualifying diesel-fueled freight trucks. So those are our big DPW trucks that carry sand and salt during the winter time, have the plows attached to them, and at that time there were 3 smaller trucks that also qualified. This year we are down in numbers of trucks that are eligible because we've been able to replace a few of those trucks. As you vote on the budget each year, there's 1 or 2 that you're able to replace, and that's a great thing. But for this second round, the same model years qualify. The grant will pay up to 65% of the vehicle replacement cost. They have to be model years 2020 or 2021. I can't get used to saying that. It just sounds so odd. To qualify. The completion date is April of 2021. Off-road equipment is qualified. However, you must replace it with all electric vehicles. We do not have the infrastructure in place to do that, so none of our off-road equipment is what we're considering here. One major benefit to the town at this point is the second to last bullet point. The first round, all applications were judged together. New Milford had a great application. We were invited to apply to a second round when it opened up. The problem was our municipal 18 trucks couldn't stand up against
the Department of Labor trucks, the Yukon trucks. They had numbers. They had numbers that we just didn't qualify to meet. So this round, something that DEP has recognized is that the first round was such a disadvantage. There was no municipalities that were awarded based on the program criteria. So this round, they will be separating private entities and government entities and rating and ranking them separately. That is significant for us because being that we have the largest town in the state of Connecticut with over 225 miles of public roads that we maintain throughout the year, including snow plowing, we have trucks that have a lot of miles on them. We have trucks that are extremely old, which means they are burning diesel and they are putting emissions out there. This grant program is looking to mitigate that as much as possible. So with a fleet size that, with your consent, the mayor and I can put together the application together to replace what I recommend is 15 trucks total, which would be 13 of our large Class 8 trucks. That's all we have that qualifies. 2 of our smaller plow trucks. So that's what I refer to on that sort of financial breakout as an all-in. That's my recommendation because it's something that many municipalities our size are not going to have the support to do. I think it will give us an advantage by looking to replace 15 trucks in total. It will certainly give us a financial advantage going forward because our fleet of vehicles will be 2010 or newer, the entire fleet, and we will have approximately half of that fleet the same model truck. Think how much easier maintenance and repairs will be in the future and how much less costly that can occur. So you will also notice on there that I've recommended the town be responsible for 40%. Our minimum responsibility is 35% if we move forward with this application. However, additional funding support from the town is an incredible plus when putting this application together. The difference was extremely minimal when I put it to numbers. The other piece of this, I think, if you have the calendar, we'll take a look at this.
Wait, hold on.
Sure.
So, and then you also list alternate 1 and alternate 2. I'm going
Yes.
all the way to the right-hand side of your column. Great
Yes.
spreadsheet, by the way. So, is this a case where we should apply for the most possible but be prepared to get less of an award, and that's why I've got the 2 alternates there? Or is this an alternate application?
I have the 2 alternates there just so that you have some financials in front of you.
Okay.
If you weren't comfortable with an all-in contribution from New Milford and you wanted to still apply and have a significant application, that's why I was giving you 2 alternates. Okay.
What fiscal year would this be in?
So, go to the calendar.
Thank you.
So, try to give you as much data as I could because I know it's incredibly short notice, but we're required to talk about this as per the grant policy. And I was putting together financials right up through this morning, so my apologies for that. So the end date of the program is April 30th, 2021. Okay, that's on the back. To give me about 30 days to compile all of the paperwork and reports taking delivery. We'd be taking delivery March 26th, 2021. If you back that up into the 2020 calendar, that's when the action really starts happening. So with this calendar that is aggressive enough for us to get this program done within the grant guidelines, but just squeaking us into the next fiscal year, it gives you financial options for the town's portion of this, because I'm not looking to award a bid for the purchase of these trucks until fiscal year 2020, ending 2021.
And so, I'm sorry, Mike.
So, Tammy, thank you always for all your efforts.
Thank you.
This is just incredible to be able to replace these many trucks at that price. Does DEEP look at the town's buy-in? Do they say, okay,
Yes, they do.
hey, New Milford, oh wow, they're going to contribute up to 40%.
Yes.
So that's more of
Little extra points. Yes, that's why I was recommending the town contribute 40% rather than the minimum of 35.
And what do you think our chances are compared to other towns? I mean, have you talked to other?
So I looked through the applicants from last year, and other than, I believe it was the city of New Haven and the city of Bridgeport, no towns our size even came close to replacing this number of vehicles. And this is a bit of a numbers game because they are looking at emissions reductions. So for every truck that we move forward in replacing, I have to go do the EPA emissions reductions calculations on the federal calculator. So the more trucks you replace, the more benefit there is to the environment, and that's the point of this grant.
And do they take in the miles in town that we have to take care of?
Yes, absolutely. I've worked with Paul Thurlow, who's head of our vehicle maintenance department, to give me the average number of miles, the average hours that they idle. I have so many details about these trucks, it's incredible.
Thank you, Tammy. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Certainly. Katie?
Tammy, so speaking about the reason for this is to cut back, how would we stack up, so to speak, with the number of trucks if we were to go all in with it? Because that's going to be an important criteria for them deciding as well.
Yes.
Right? So they're going to separate us out from all those huge groups of trucks. Bless you. How do you think we'll stack up in what Volkswagen is aiming for and what the state is aiming for is to cut back on emissions? This number of trucks, I mean, I don't know what each one of these trucks puts out, as old as some of them are. So do we have a good rating, so to speak?
Our application rated very well. With the applications all pooled and ranked last year, we didn't have the environmental benefits of some of those private entities or the state of Connecticut that were looking to replace larger fleets. I think with an application going forward from a municipality, being that they will be judged independently of private entities in the state and Yukon, I think 18 vehicles is significant enough to give us a very good chance.
So a lot of these are, as you said, they're the big trucks. So
yes,
they're putting out bad stuff more than a pickup. So good. Thanks. Great work.
Chris? Tammy, a couple things. So this list of trucks, I'm assuming, is blessed by DPW?
Correct.
That's okay. Do we think, I'm assuming less emissions probably means more efficient vehicles, less fuel costs? Are we expecting significant fuel costs?
There will be fuel cost savings. As you look at the truck listings, some of them are as old as 1999. Mm-hmm. So we're looking at trucks that will be 21 years newer, obviously much more efficient in terms of their engine output.
So there could be savings to the operating
Just
budget.
the operating cost on a daily basis, yes.
Yeah.
When is our portion, when would that be due? Is that due on bid award date? Is that due on truck arrival? When is that cash due?
This is a reimbursement grant. It's kind of a little caveat here. It is a reimbursement grant. There is a guarantee to the reimbursement because it's being administered locally. I say that locally in that it's much faster sometimes working with the state of Connecticut than it is with the federal government. So luckily the state of Connecticut is administering it. So for us to issue, if you look at the second page, right? If we're looking at all in, all the way down to the right, the total cost to purchase 15 trucks is just over $2.6 million. The town would have to have the money available to issue those purchase orders upon awarding a bid. The settlement money, so the VW settlement money of 60%, that's the $1,585,859.40, would come in at the end of April. Okay, so we're still within the same fiscal year. Right. That money would get reimbursed and come in at the end of April or shortly after, based on when I submit the reimbursement paperwork.
And that comes into us, not DEP.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And then as you'll see, the town's portion, which is 40%, so you're 40 cents on the dollar, similar to the aerial truck with the fire department that we approved. Part of our grant writing is how do we come up with the $1,057,000. So if you look at our budget books, especially this year, we're buying 2 trucks a year, 2 of the big trucks. They averaged, with 2 of them combined, about $380,000 a year. Also, 2 large dump trucks are at about $100,000 a year. So that's about $220,000 or about $110,000. So you figure right then and there, if you pull them out because we're actually purchasing forward, you have $600,000 that could be taken out of the budget. Another $400,000 we could look as a budgetary item in year 21. After that, you have significant savings because you're not buying any more trucks of these big trucks for this foreseeable future.
Well, to Chris's point, or Tom's point, sorry, I lost track. And then the maintenance.
Maintenance reductions.
Would be reduced,
There's got to be
correct.
a big chunk of maintenance
Enormous.
also with 15 trucks.
Absolutely.
Right.
Well,
That we can
right.
take out
Maintaining trucks that are
to
20
take out.
years
I'm not
old.
saying
Yeah.
we're gonna be net zero, but we're getting
Needs
a
to
lot
be
more
enormous.
palatable.
Safety, much safer, more safely built, safety factor for our drivers, public.
Okay.
Tammy, so VW coughs up their 60%. What's the guarantee that they will give the complete 60%?
There is no guarantee. We can submit the application. If we go all 15 trucks, they can come back and say, we'll fund you for 10.
Prior to the purchase of the truck?
Prior to the purchase of the truck, we will know the results of the applications about the end of October. They're telling me, not sure, this doesn't always happen, they're telling me that from the application date to the award date, they're trying to keep it down to 45 days. So early winter
So
is
there's
my guess.
so we could cut any loss right then and there.
Correct.
If it's, yeah.
You are not required to move forward if you receive a partial award.
Okay, thanks.
Any other discussion? Randy, should we take a vote on it? Okay. Okay.
And we're voting on the application permission, correct?
Yes.
So we want to,
Authorizing the mayor
Mayor.
to execute the paperwork necessary to practice that. You got a real time frame.
all right, so I make a motion to authorize the mayor to move forward with this in the application stage.
Second.
Any
Can I
more
just-
discussion?
Ask for clarification of which of those options on the far right of that table you'd like me to pursue.
Can you use your motion? All in, alternate 1 or alternate
15
2?
trucks all in, or one of the 2 alternatives?
I would amend my motion to say that we'd like to authorize the mayor to begin working on this with our grant writer for the all-in option.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy.
Okay,
Great job.
all right, moving right along. Item 8, move to set a town meeting and refer to the planning commission the sale of property on 18 Dogwood Drive.
Second.
Any discussion? This was before us, I believe, the last 2 meetings ago. And per our procedure, we have to set a town meeting and refer it to planning. Correct, Randy?
824 referral.
Yep.
Discussion?
Is there a date we want to?
Are we going to vote to move forward with it?
If you have a date.
Yeah, I'm in favor of this.
Oh, there's no discussion is what I'm trying to say.
It's, let's see. Do we want to, Randy, how many days?
No less than 7 over here, 14.
So we can do the next town,
Yeah.
prior to the next town council
Good,
meeting?
you do that.
Okay. Which would be,
9/24?
You can send it to planning, I have a comment before or after, but you have to get an 8/24 before you execute.
I'm sorry,
23rd?
23rd.
23rd.
September 23rd. And that allows planning meeting, so. Amend to add the date of setting the town meeting to September 23rd.
Second.
any discussion?
If you need a time on that meeting.
Yes, yes, sir.
6:45?
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Okay, item number 9, move to accept a request from Harry Brook Park to close Lanesville Road on Saturday, November 30th, 2019, between the hours of 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. to hold the Run Santa Run.
Second.
Any discussion? Billy's here if you need to talk to him about it. Billy, you want to do a quick plug?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is year 9 of this event. 9 years. I can't believe it's been 9 years since we started doing this. And the event draws anywhere from 300 to 500 people to the race. And we promote everything with downtown. We try to send everybody back downtown because it is Small Business Saturday too. It's a solid event. I'd love to see maybe another Santa Claus down there too. It'd be nice to see.
There's only one Santa Claus.
Well, this is true.
Well,
There's a lot of helpers. We won't get into the argument about the real deal, but there's a lot of helpers.
How does Santa run without the reindeer?
Who says I won't have reindeer? The event does help Harry Brook Park and helps a portion of the funds go to Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation, JDRF, as well. We have a kids fun run there. Kids come by. There's no cost to the kids. We ask they bring a toy that we give to Toys for Tots. Marines are on site, and the kids have a race, and if they can beat Santa Claus, they get a gift. And Santa's not that fast, so they're pretty good. So again, 9 years. I'd appreciate your help, your support with that, and of course, certainly offer a open invitation for any of you to come on down and join us for the race. Including you, Red, it'd be great. Come on down and join us for the race this year.
Yeah.
Any questions?
No, sir.
I'd be happy to take them.
Okay. We have a motion,
Yes,
right?
we
And
do.
a second.
Yes, we do.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Bill.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item 10, move to accept a request from the mayor's office to close Church Street crossover on Saturday, September 28th, 2019, between the hours of 8 a.m. and 7 p.m. for safety reasons for the buses that will be bringing people to our green for the Gilmore Girls Fan Fest.
Second.
So this is something that's been put on for the last few years. Kent was the recipient of it, a little bit of Washington. I had conversations with the Gilmore Girls fan club that puts this together, and Washington, Kent, and New Milford jointly are going to be doing it this year for the USA one, which is going to bring a lot of tourism into our downtown that day. I think it's a wonderful event. At New Milford, as everyone says, we've got more of the Gilmore Girl flavor for our downtown, so I think it's a wonderful event for us to start. And have a lot of different people that may not know New Milford come and visit and see how wonderful our town is.
Can I answer that? Since,
Yes, ma'am.
Our economic development director's not here. So the buses are going to run every hour and a half on a rotating basis. And what's interesting about this is they're actually going to choose based upon the welcome they get. The one town that's going to be the host for next year.
There are other towns that are going to go through also, so it's a great opportunity.
We're hoping. Yeah.
And these buses are taking people from town to town?
They're going from Kent, and they'll come here, they'll go around, they're going to go to Mayflower, and go through Washington, and, you know, we're very open to having them here. Some towns we're not.
Right.
Awesome. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Item 11, move to accept a request from the mayor's office to close the Church Street crossover on Saturday, September 14th, this coming Saturday, between the hours of noon and 4 p.m. for safety reasons, because we're having a community chalk walk.
Second.
Any discussion?
Oh, Mayor, just one question. That's
Yes,
for
ma'am.
children and adults,
Children
right?
and adults, everybody. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Item 12, move to approve the request from the Ontonagon Heritage Land Trust to close Marial Road between 227 and 237 on Saturday, September 14th, and the rain date of Sunday, September 15th, between the hours of 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. for their fall celebration. And I'm assuming the 227 and 237 are the address on the road?
They are. I work for the Untitled Heritage Land Trust, and I'm delighted to answer any questions.
That's what it is. That's the time, right? That's the space. Okay, so there's a motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Thank you.
And lastly, lucky 13 item, move to approve a memo of understanding between the town of New Milford and the Culinary Institute of Northwest Connecticut.
Second.
Thank you. We have Carolyn here from the Senior Center. Did you want to say something tonight, Carolyn, since we've...
Any questions about it, or?
I love it.
So, kind of like a brief overview, basically it's the memorandum of understanding that once Loaves and Fishes moves from their, where they currently are into their new place on Railroad Street, that the Culinary Institute will move into the same location, which is a great benefit to both the Culinary Institute and the Senior Center, as they have a contract with the seniors to provide meals for the seniors. Also, new opportunities, Karen, I'm sure, Carolyn, you can talk about.
The Elderly Nutrition Program serves two purposes: food insecurity and socialization. We have the congregate meals already, and really what we're looking for, and we have control of that now with the contract we have with the culinary school since April, and it's been a huge success. What we're really looking for is Meals on Wheels, homebound. That is administered by the original company that we were dealing with. Any caterer in Connecticut is over an hour away from us. So that's why it was important with congregate meals, first step, to have that close to home, in-house. Meals on Wheels is another 100 people homebound that are eating meals, and we'd like control over that as well, so we can intervene on any services that they might need. Obviously, when you're at the senior center and you're eating and socialization, there are other programs we can tie into our clients. So we're looking to expand this and really put it in-house and reduce that footprint that's out there. Regionalizing, we have two very close communities that don't serve lunches all the time, and they do come to us. And if we can show proof here that we're doing this and we have the capability of being a caterer, then we might be able to capture some of the towns within. And regionalizing is where the state likes to see us go. Mm-hmm. So, a lot of positive things from us.
And what's great logistically, hearing from the seniors as well, is obviously the food prepared right there on premise. The food obviously is warmer, fresher.
And they absolutely love having the chef.
Absolutely.
Jay is quite comfortable there now with us, and Flora is our volunteer, and it is a win-win situation, so we can only make it better.
Awesome.
Awesome. I can only say that's a wonderful idea to bring the meals out to seniors in our area closer. I can't tell you how many my aides throw out those dinners and those lunches, and the seniors love to stack these meals in their fridge because they taste so horrible. So this is kudos to you. Good job.
Awesome. Great job.
Thank you, Carolyn. My question, I think, is to the mayor. In the MOU, I just want to confirm that all the goods and materials they're going to put, they'll retain the ownership and they do rehabilitation.
Randy?
Well, they'll retain the ownership of those that are not ours.
Yes, what they're going to move in to upgrade or whatever will be theirs, and should they move away someday, they will take those.
I'll take those that do not need damage. Yes, they will.
Okay. And also, they will have the insurance to be sure that the town is held harmless for any liabilities that should occur there, correct? Yep, okay. And I think that was the only question that I really had, was just to be sure that you agreed with all of that, right?
Just one more point too. It's important to have this document because we can go for grants. We know what's out there, but this document will help us get some grant money to upgrade that commercial kitchen.
For your information, when we drafted this, we did it with the grant, with our grant writer. So a lot of the terms and conditions and compliance issues that needed to be addressed, essentially prospectively, were done so when we drafted the document. This went through a number of iterations, and Ms. Reardon was involved in that, so we kind of checked those off the list as well. Not that there's anything available, but she made sure that everything, the way we drafted it,
But there might be.
would be eligible.
What sort of timing are we looking at here on implementation?
Is it in the spring?
Once Loaves and Fishes completes their property, we've been told it's like late spring.
First step is to get the MOU so that we can go after grant money. And once we have that in place, an idea of what it's gonna cost, so we have that money, that'll be the second piece. And then when Loaves and Fishes vacates, then we can go forward.
I know when I toured the senior center a while back before the Culinary Institute providing the lunches, I think the seniors were very appreciative of the daily meals, but there was, I think they were, the quality, I think what they were getting, what was being trucked in, and so the feedback you've been getting since has been
fabulous. You know, the previous caterers, for 10 years I've been in this business, we've had 2 different companies. They were over an hour away. It's called a cook chill. So they cook the food, they freeze it. The next day it's shipped to us. It gets reheated and then served. So, you know, I think they deserve more.
Yeah, very great. And
And
our
it's a
population is
suggested
aging.
donation. We have to understand this is federal funds, state funds, and then the municipality. But it's a suggested donation of $3. So, you know, the old adage, you get what you pay for, shouldn't apply here, because we could make this work.
Thank you
so much.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Thank you, Carolyn.
Thank you, Carolyn.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn, Mr. Mayor.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.